When The Outer Worlds dropped in 2019, it had the attention of a lot of gamers for one particular reason, that being that it seemed to be Obsidian's long-awaited spiritual sequel to the widely beloved Fallout New Vegas, a first-person shooter RPG that would put emphasis on its narrative in ways that Bethesda's own follow-up to that game, Fallout 4, did not. While The Outer Worlds got something of a mixed reception thanks to what was clearly a modest budget and scope at the time, a lot has happened in the 6 years since. Most notably, rather than seeking external publishing, Obsidian is now under Xbox Game Studios, funnily the same parent corporation that now controls Fallout. With experience and budget behind it, The Outer Worlds 2 is looking to take what the original did and polish it into something unforgettable. I got to play a short 90-ish minute taste that I assume is the game's prologue, casting me as the leader of a team serving under the Earth Directorate, and very immediately distinguish it from the tone of the first game. The Outer Worlds 1 is set in a particular region of space controlled by the hyper-capitalistic board of Halcyon Holdings Corporation, and the player character is effectively a refugee that narrowly escaped becoming a cog in the board's galactic machine. But placing me in a more set position ironically feels like it opens up more possibilities for my narrative.
Commander, we've been hit by one of those space anomalies.
Buddy?
And the piloting system is down.
Buddy?
The astrogator's gears are shot!
Get a hold of yourself!
During character creation, I got to pick my background, effectively a short backstory explaining how you got into this position, which would open up dialogue options later, traits, which come in both positive and negative flavors, and then my tagged skills. You can pick 2 positive traits instead of 1, but you then also have to take a negative trait, which along with tagging skills very quickly establishes that this is going to be a much more build-based role-playing experience than its contemporaries. I chose to be a professor and took guns, speech, and stealth, and off I went. Right away, the game emphasizes the importance of your character choices. You need to get into your quarters on your starship and the door is broken. If you can't force or fix it open because you didn't take the appropriate skills, you'll have to find another way in, which is easy enough to do but sets a quick precedent that not taking certain skills is going to close some paths off to you. I'm charged with extracting a fellow Directorate operative from a nearby station, and I set off after reading my computer logs, which also quickly start to establish the extremely tightly run organization I'm working for. It's nothing compared to what awaits me on the space station, a new faction called the Protectorate that starts blaring its propaganda right in my ear. It's easy to see from both environmental storytelling and more computer logs that it's a pseudo-communist dystopia wherein every single person is assigned work duty by an authoritarian government, and anyone who falls too far out of line is subject to lobotomization, which is just what happened to the poor guy who was supposed to be watching the landing pad I've been dropped off at. This even further starts to reinforce the important choices you make while creating and building your character. In the security station, I need to shut down the hostile bots outside so my team can continue our infiltration. But I can't just hack my way into the computer because I didn't take hacking, and there's a vent I can't get into because I skipped lockpicking. I can, however, talk my way through an intercom conversation with another Protectorate worker who has the ability to shut the security off, since I took speech, and I'm also able to take a scientific approach in my dialogue since I'm a former professor. The Outer Worlds 2 takes an approach to character building that is both simpler than New Vegas and also even more immediately rewarding. Every time I was frustrated that I couldn't do something since I hadn't taken a particular ability, I would quickly find a situation where I was exactly the person for the job. I didn't get to experience leveling up during this demo, but I don't think I've ever been quite so hungry for the chance to build my PC up and unlock more potential capabilities in an RPG before. Continuing on from the security checkpoint, I'm faced with a split path, one way emphasizing stealth and one way emphasizing brute force, with teammates covering whichever I don't take. I took the stealthy path and got to play with this title's more robust options for sneaking around, including distraction gadgets and very satisfying takedowns. It's not particularly flashy, but it does feel a bit like Dishonored with its brutality, and indeed I did start to notice blood all over my gloves and knife. I did later get plenty of practice in with gunplay, and I think this is where the comparison between this title and Fallout 4 is the most apt. If the biggest jump in gameplay quality between Fallout New Vegas and Fallout 4 is a massive improvement in the feeling of combat, I think The Outer Worlds 2 might match the degree of improvement, with guns feeling significantly punchier and more satisfying than they did in the preceding game, while retaining the time-slowing action economy should you want to be more methodical with your aim. The pistol works fine, but I ended up with a bolt-action rifle that felt good to fire even with a mouse and keyboard, and I'm sure any DualSense integration would only stand to improve things further. By the end of the demo, I was blasted off into parts unknown in a twist that I definitely saw coming but won't spoil regardless, and truly desperate to see what came next. It's a bit hard to overstate just how much more premium The Outer Worlds 2 feels than its understandably compromised prequel. I can think of few issues I had with the original game that aren't looking fairly addressed by this release, and with any luck, it's going to be a home run for one of gaming's most venerated teams. The Outer Worlds 2 releases October 24th, 2025 for PlayStation 5, Xbox Series consoles, and PC via Steam and Xbox Store. Thanks for watching. This video is brought to you by our supporters on Patreon. Noisy Pixel is run by a group of gamers providing independent gaming coverage through news, reviews, previews, and more. Check out our Patreon to help support our continued growth and subscribe to keep up with all of our future content. Now, check out some gameplay.
I don't know what happened out there. This is all going wrong. Niles, he was a promising agent, but we've got no time for grieving. Take the lift behind you and get to me as soon as you can. It's imperative we retrieve this unsealed core and escape this station, lest his sacrifice be for nothing.
Noisy Pixel.